Hey everyone, welcome back. After countless days of searching with unwavering determination and hope that never died, our kind-hearted and resilient young man has finally found a glimmer of light. On a rainy afternoon, a chance encounter with an old man led to something truly unexpected, a clue. He learned that Tieu Huyen, the woman he's been longing to find, and her little daughter Maya might be staying nearby in the home of someone known as Uncle Tu. Just when it seemed like hope was slipping away, fate opened a new door. And Dee's journey is about to take a powerful turn. Stay with us. This is where the story gets really moving. The old phone buzzed gently in his hand, its dim screen lit up with a photo of Tieu Huyen and her little girl. Their warm smiles hit him right in the heart, soft and sweet, but somehow painful too. Dee sat quietly in his small bamboo house out in the countryside, where the late afternoon breeze slipped through the cracks like whispers of things left unsaid. Why haven't I seen her again? He wondered to himself. The rice was ready, a simple breakfast, waiting for Adam to come home. But in Dee's heart, there was only one thing he truly longed for: to see her again, even just for a moment, to be near the woman who never left his thoughts. The late afternoon sun slanted across the porch, casting golden threads of light through the swaying bamboo leaves. Inside the modest little bamboo house, Tieu Huyen was hunched over, patiently splitting bamboo stalks one by one. Her hands moved with gentle precision, as if weaving hope into the very wall she was building. The faint scent of wood smoke drifted from the small kitchen, stinging her eyes. But she didn't stop. Not when she was building a home. Not when each swing of her hand brought her and her daughter one step closer to stability, to joy. Out in the yard, little Maya, her tousled hair bouncing with every step, played happily with her small dog Bibi. Her laughter mingled with the dog's excited barks, bringing the garden to life with warmth and noise. Maya, Tieu Huyen called gently, her voice laced with both fatigue and love. Do you want to come plant flowers with Mommy? Maya ran over, her eyes lighting up as she saw the wildflowers and a small pepper plant her mom had brought home from the fields. Where are you going to plant them? She asked, gripping a tiny blue watering bucket. Along the walkway, Tieu Huyen smiled, pressing soil into place. So every morning we can wake up to see the flowers bloom, and someday this garden will be full of colors just for you. Do you think they're pretty? She asked, patting down the earth. Maya tilted her head, studied the flowers for a moment, then grinned. They're as pretty as you, Mommy. Tieu Huyen chuckled, ruffling her daughter's hair. You're just saying that. Maya shook her head, serious now. No, I mean it. A soft breeze swept through the yard, carrying the scent of damp earth and freshly planted hope. Tieu Huyen stood quietly for a moment, looking out at the small patch of green. The house was still unfinished, the garden far from complete, but with Maya birdsong and blooming flowers, her heart already felt full. Can I water them now? Maya beamed, lifting her tiny bucket with both hands. Tieu Huyen knelt beside her, watching those little fingers carefully pour water over the fragile plants. In that moment, nothing else mattered. Just the two of them, their tiny garden, and the simple joy growing quietly in the soil of their shared life. The next morning, the sky was a clear, endless blue, not a cloud in sight. Holding Maya's hand, Tieu Huyen walked down the dusty red road toward the guava orchard near the edge of the village. The morning breeze was soft, carrying the faint scent of ripe fruit and wildflowers. Maya skipped along happily, her ponytail bouncing, her eyes wide with excitement. As they arrived, they saw an older woman crouch beneath a guava tree, her silver hair tied neatly behind her head, face glowing in the sunlight. "Good morning, Grandma," Maya chirped sweetly. The woman looked up and laughed warmly. "What a polite little girl. With a bright face like that, I bet you're going to grow up clever." Tieu Huyen smiled and gently placed a hand on her daughter's head. She then leaned down and whispered, "Maya, stay right here and be good. Okay, don't go too far. The ground's slippery, and there are thorny bushes around. I'll just be a moment, picking guavas." Maya nodded quickly, though her eyes were already following the green fruits hanging high in the trees. "Pick the biggest one for me, Mommy," she giggled, clutching the small bag she'd brought with her. Tieu Huyen walked deeper into the orchard, her steps steady and familiar. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, and guavas peeked out between the branches like little treasures waiting to be found. Birds chirped overhead. The leaves rustled in rhythm, nature's gentle soundtrack to a peaceful morning. Back at the edge of the orchard, Maya perched on a small rock, her legs swinging freely. Bibi curled up beside her, content. Maya picked up a fallen leaf, turning it thoughtfully in her hands. Then she looked up and called softly, "Mommy, I'm being good. I won't go anywhere. I'll just wait for you and our big guava." And in that quiet moment, with sunlight dancing through green leaves and the soft sounds of life all around them, the love between a mother and her child filled the air, simple, strong, and beautifully unspoken. The early morning mist still clung to the treetops when Adam quietly rose. His leg had healed enough to walk without pain. He put on an old jacket, grabbed a wicker basket, and headed into the woods to forage for fresh mushrooms for lunch. On the way back, he stopped by a small stream and filled a jar with clean water for the day. It was a peaceful ritual, simple but meaningful. Back home, Day had been up for hours. He had made breakfast, just some warm fried rice, and laid it out on a small bamboo table on the front porch. A light morning breeze carried the scent of fried rice and fresh greenery into the air. When Adam returned, Dee greeted him with a smile. "Let's go to the market early today," he said. "I've already prepared breakfast." Adam sat down surprised. He took a bite, then nodded, grinning. "I actually like fried rice." Dee handed him a pair of chopsticks, joking, "I made it pretty good. Eat it." Adam laughed between bites. "It's nice and crispy, but you know what would make it perfect? A little roasted peanuts on top." Dee paused for a second, his smile fading slightly. His eyes became distant, and in a soft, almost hesitant voice, he said, "I've been to so many markets, tried so many places, but I still haven't found her Xiao Xuan and her daughter." He looked down for a moment, then added with quiet determination, "But I'll try again today. Just one more time." Adam put down his chopsticks and looked at him with concern. "You have to be careful out there. You're still recovering." Dee nodded. After they finished eating, he slung an old backpack over his shoulder and walked outside. Adam followed him to the edge of the yard, where the breeze gently tugged at their clothes. "I'm going into the woods," Adam said. Dee smiled slightly, "And I'll be back soon." They shook hands firmly. Then there was a brief, wordless hug, full of understanding and quiet emotion. Day turned and walked down the dirt path toward the market. His silhouette slowly disappeared behind the trees. Adam stood there a moment longer watching. "I hope he finds her," he whispered. "He's been through so much. He deserves peace." A light drizzle had fallen since dawn, leaving the narrow dirt path slippery with black mud. Dee moved carefully, but purposefully, his shoes caked in the dirt, his shirt damp from the rain. The path was more treacherous than usual, but his steps were steady. Something inside him kept him moving, a quiet fire, a fragile hope that he couldn't let go of. At a small fork in the road, half hidden by the mist, he saw an old man standing on the porch silently watching Dee approach. "Good morning, sir," Dee greeted politely. "I'm looking for someone. Could you help me find the next village?" The old man nodded slowly, his voice low and husky. "I went down there not long ago. I heard people talking. Said there was a young girl from the north. She was staying with someone. There was a little girl, maybe 3 years old." Dee paused. His eyes widened. A surge of emotion surged through his chest. She had a daughter, 3 years old, long hair, always smiling, but her eyes looked like they were hiding something. The old man frowned, trying to remember. "I've only heard from others, but they say she's at a man's house, a man called Mr. Tieu, I think. I'm not sure exactly where that house is, though." Dee repeated the name softly, as if he were tasting the possibility. "Mr. Tieu?" The old man nodded kindly. "You can ask around when you get there. It's a small village. Someone will show you the way." Day was deeply moved. He bowed deeply, then reached out to shake the man's hand. "Thank you, really. Thank you for this." The rain had not stopped yet, but Dee didn't care. He turned and ran his feet, kicking in the mud, his clothes soaked, but his heart felt light, almost too light to carry. The cold rain slapped his face, but he barely noticed. "It must be her. It must be them," he said loudly, and then laughed through the rain, a hopeful sound. The road ahead was still long, but at that moment, Dee was not tired at all. Every step was like a drumbeat of hope, pushing him forward. Because sometimes, for those who persevere enough, the world will give them another chance.